What is the reasoning in Torah for redeeming a donkey with a lamb, and if not redeemed, then break the donkey's neck? This mitzvah is one of those what on earth commandments that really makes people stop and scratch their heads and seems a bit harsh, especially from the age of PETA with a 21st century sensibilities. But if it's in the Torah, there has to be a godly reason for it. Just what could that be? This mitzvah appears in a few places in the Torah. For example, Exodus chapter 13, verse 13, where it states, "Every firstborn of a donkey you shall redeem with a lamb, and if you do not redeem it, you shall break its neck." And again, Hashem echoes the same in Exodus chapter 34, verse 20. So then, the Torah singles out the donkey as the only non-kosher animal that has this special law. That becomes significant in understanding the logic behind Hashem's commandment. Right before this command found in Exodus, the Torah discusses redeeming the firstborn of Israel. The donkey mitzvah is tied to remembering Yetziat Mitzrayim, the exodus out of Egypt. Midrash Makilta Bekorot 5b explains that donkeys carried the heavy spoils of Egypt when Bnei Yisrael left slavery. They were indispensable in bringing Israel's wealth and survival gear into freedom. As a recognition, the Torah honors them with this special mitzvah. The lamb, aseh, is specifically pointed out as the redemptive substitute for the donkey because it is the very animal used in the Korban Pesach, the central sacrifice of redemption. Why is the lamb so important? It symbolizes Israel's break with Egyptian idolatry, since Egyptians worshipped sheep and goats as part of their pantheon of false gods. Redeeming the donkey with a lamb ties the donkey's role in the Exodus to the symbol of Israel's redemption. As a side note, we have the irony that Egyptians saw lambs and goats as gods and worshipped them. However, they looked on shepherds and other herders as the scum of the earth, not even second-class people. In Genesis 46, verse 34, we read that, "Every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians." Also, the fact that Egypt saw lambs and goats as representative of their god Amun, also known as Khnum, a creator god, explains why Moshe told Pharaoh he must let Adonai's people go outside of Egypt to sacrifice to Hashem because, "Shall we sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians before their eyes, and will they not stone us?" Meaning, the lamb and goat was sacred to Egypt. Slaughtering it publicly was a big no-no in that society. Egyptian culture was built on farming the fertile Nile. They prized stability, order, and settled life. Nomadic herding cultures like Israel, like the Shasu, like the Hyksos, who once ruled Egypt and were shepherd kings, were viewed as dirty, uncultured oafs. Archaeology backs this up. Egyptians depicted Asiatics, or Semitic shepherds, as scruffy, bearded, sandal-wearing outsiders, in contrast to their clean-shaven, linen-wrapped, overly perfumed selves. The irony in Torah's narrative is that Israel is asked to sacrifice lambs, the very animals Egypt worshipped, and to shepherd flocks, the very lifestyle Egypt despised. It's almost like Hashem is saying, yes, you will take the very symbols of Egypt's gods and their prejudices and turn them into the symbols of my redemption. Fascinating and glorious. But getting back to the donkey scenario, here comes the sharp edge of the mitzvah. If you don't redeem it, you don't get to keep it either. Rashi, commenting on Exodus 13, verse 13, says this is a penalty for refusing to fulfill the redemption command. The donkey remains asur b'hana'ah, forbidden for use, so breaking its neck ensures no one benefits improperly. The Ramban adds that breaking the neck is meant to shock the owner into redeeming. Why lose a valuable working pack animal like a donkey completely when you could just redeem it with a lamb? Of course, as in most things within the Torah, there is a much deeper symbolic meaning ascribed to this mitzvot. The donkey, called komor in Hebrew, shares a root with komer, meaning materiality, physical substance. The donkey symbolizes the raw, stubborn, material side of life. To make that side useful and elevated, it must be redeemed by something connected to holiness, which is always represented in Jewish culture by the lamb. If left unredeemed, materiality without spiritual purpose becomes destructive, therefore, the breaking of the donkey's neck. The Torah, as it almost always does, combines practical gratitude, the donkey's role in the Exodus, with symbolic teaching, redeem the material with holiness and legal enforcement. No redemption equals no benefit. It's one of those mitzvot that's practical, ethical, and mystical all at once. I hope this explains one of those more difficult mitzvot found in Torah, and now makes perfect sense as to why Hashem would make such a commandment for us to follow. Of course, as long as there is no temple in Jerusalem, this is one of those mitzvah we are currently unable to perform. May the temple be built soon, and the Messiah appear in it before Hashem in our days. Baruch Hashem. Please like, subscribe, and share this video and all my works with others. They can be found on Rumble, Locals, YouTube, Substack, Blogger, and across various social media platforms. Until next time, this is Shmuel ben Shlomi wishing you shalom.